Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ohio State Esports. Today, we got some League of Legends action for you today. We're in Upsurge minor leagues for the League of Legends Premier Academy team taking on the Manitoba Bisons. My name is Ryan Alesna, aka Rychains. I'm joined with Michael. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to see these two teams perform. This is our first look at the Ohio State team in this round of 16 in this playoffs, because they got the bye in the first week and now they're facing up against Manitoba, like you were just saying.
Yeah, so OSU comes into this round of 16 ranked 1 in their respective group. Manitoba ranked 3. I believe OSU went 5-0 and Manitoba went 3-2. Is that correct?
Something like that. I don't know exactly, but either way, this should be exciting. Just last week, we saw Manitoba 2-0 Middlesticks, so they're on a hot streak. They have the momentum this week, and what's interesting me, or what I'm interested in, is to see if Ohio State used their off week effectively, or if they might have slipped and not be as warmed up and ready.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. You know, bye weeks can do a lot of things for a team. It can give you the opportunity to rest up, recover, come up with a strong game plan coming into the playoffs when you have to play again, or it also could increase the level of rust on your team. It could, tear down some of that synergy and chemistry that you've been working on. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here with OSU and if they're able to, dust off the cobwebs and come back strong.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be exciting to see. We'll be getting into the games in just a few minutes here, and I'm not sure exactly about seeding or side selection, at least. I don't know side selection for this game, but after this first game, it's whoever the loser gets to choose their side for the next game. So we'll see effectively soon.
Should see pretty soon here. And I do want to talk a little bit about what's on the line here. A trip to the semifinals for the winner of this team and a $2,000 prize pool coming out for
quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals. Trip into the quarterfinals for the winner of these teams. A $2,000 prize pool is at stake here. First place is going to win $1,200. So I'm sure these players have a lot of motivation to try to do well. Yeah, exactly. Try to get some dubs today for OSU.
Yeah, it's definitely what you want to see. And I mean, these guys, this is a fairly new team, and I'd like to point out, like, this team alone got 3 new players, replacing 3 players, so it's definitely a little bit of a shakeup. But going into this, obviously they're fitting along well. They are sitting at 5-0, so something seems to be working for them.
Yeah, something's clicking indeed here. And before we get in, we're going to get into the picks and the bans in a few short moments. But I do want to pick your brain a little bit and see, is there anything you're expecting from either of these teams coming out for Game 1?
I still want to see a lot of priority put onto Seraphine, both as a pick and a ban. If your team cannot play it, I feel that you just have to ban it. You can't afford giving that just because of how strong that pick is in any of the 3 positions it can be put in. It can be put in mid, bot, or support. And so you just need to be very cognizant of that champion and be willing to ban it away or take it away depending on what comfort level your team is at. And outside of that, I feel that jungle is still the role that's going to define these picks and bans, because jungle is still a broken role. There's still Udyr, Skarner, and so many other powerful picks that we need to be very willing to throw bans towards there for both of these teams, because I know both these teams have really good junglers. So it's definitely something to be aware of and to be ready to put bans towards.
Yeah, BioGamer, the jungler for Ohio State. Looking at the match history right now, a lot of Hecarim games. I know that you can know this player as a new player in the past, but he's adapted. He's got the Hecarim going on for him, strong. Nice little win rate for him. But yeah, Hecarim, Skarner, like you said, 2 big power picks right now. Udyr as well can even be tossed in there. And might see a little bit of a Nunu pocket pick if we're feeling spicy today.
Yeah, Nunu, I don't believe he thinks Nunu is as strong right now, but we definitely still could see that, and it still might be ban-worthy just because of how proficient Bio is on that champion. But then looking at the other side, their jungler, I'm going to butcher the name so I won't attempt it, but they have they have a lot. I mean, they're Nidalee 6 Hune. They have 6 games, 100% win rate, small sample size, but lots of wins. And so definitely something to be aware of and something to be scared of. And I mean, with that small sample size, you don't really need to, you don't know what you need to ban away.
Yeah, this account, when you're going up into an account with sub 20 games, you never really know what's going on there. It should definitely be interesting to see how Ohio State opts to go for this pick ban phase. It does seem a bit interesting to see, as I'm still getting word that their squad is not here yet. So we don't for sure know which players are playing, but this is just our speculation and predictions. You know, the caster predictions got to be right 100% of the time. That's just how we do it here. But yeah, Nidalee, Udyr looking like the big picks for the Manitoba jungler.
Yeah, those are definitely going to be big picks. And something else I want to highlight now that we're moving out of the jungle matchup, there's kind of a mismatch up in this top lane. I mean, we have the D1 player in Tiger Clown versus the Platinum 3 player in Moocub. That's definitely quite a vulnerability for the side of Ohio State, and I hope Moocub is able to play safe enough.
Should be interesting to see. Yeah, this big rank discrepancy could be something to look for. To look ahead at in this game. Top lane is a role that's so punishable if you're able to create a small advantage for yourself. So it's definitely going to be on Moocub to try to mitigate the losses and play the lane as best as he can to try to stop the bleeding as much as possible.
Just last week, this top laner in Tiger Clown picked Jax in the first rotation on red side both games. First game they did go 3-7, so maybe nothing to write home about there. But then the next game they were 9-0-5, so very scary, very big carry performance coming out from them, and it's just very impressive. And Moo, not doing so well on a 6-game loss streak in ranked, may just be put on tank duty, and if that's all it is, all he needs to do is survive, and that's hopefully not too much to ask.
I'll be honest with you, I've been there. The loss streaks come, and they come fast and hard, and it is not fun. So I feel Moocub's pain here, but it's okay. You bounce back, you pull back up, and it'll be okay. I know I'll bounce back.
And now let's highlight, I guess, since we still have some time to kill since players are not here, let's take a look at this mid matchup now. We have Schoonmaster versus Kept. Closer in rank, but it looks like to be they both play a lot of Galio. That's what I'm picking up mainly here.
Yeah, Galio, I'm a big fan of the Galio pick right now. I think it's very, very versatile. You can roam, you have a pretty decent wave control and manipulation. You can push the wave in and roam relatively effectively, and this heroic entrance is a tool that can be used so well to influence the side lanes in top and bot. 4-man dives bot lane are so easy to execute with this Galio ultimate. So I'm definitely looking to see if either one of these teams is able to pick up this Galio for game 1, or if it just gets banned away because it's so high prio for both of these teams.
I do feel like it has to be a ban away because we know that I believe that Bob Joseph in the bot lane would be willing to pull it out there, so there is a flex possibility for actually probably both of these teams, realistically speaking. So, and that Galio provides so much pressure, as you were talking about in the cross map plays, that's just something you need to be very cognizant of. And I want to draw attention to, while we're on this Galio pick, the willingness of Schoonmaster to play these different champions, because his highest 2 mastery champions are Yasuo and Yone, or at least the most played this season after the Galio. And that's quite a different style from the Galio.
Yeah, Yasuo and Yone, the AD brothers in the mid lane, very volatile champions. Feast or famine, I would say.
Yeah, quite.
For the most part on those guys, but nonetheless, yeah. I believe I heard actually in the beginning of the season, Schoonmaster wasn't even playing Galio, so a little bit of an adaptation to the play style, adding in this champion, and seems to like it a lot. Got 60 games on it, got a pretty positive win rate and a nice low KD going for himself, so
yeah,
nice adaptation there.
Yeah, exactly. Nice adaptation coming out from him. And Kept, on the other hand, is just a very versatile mage player across the board. They play a lot of Vladimir, Karthus, even down to the Caston and Fizzes. So a lot of champions that they could pull out, and a lot of champions that Ohio State needs to be aware of in this matchup.
What do you think about Vladimir in the mid lane right now?
Vladimir in the mid lane, I feel, can have its points. I feel that I'm not very keen on its matchups, but I feel that Vladimir as a champion, it's actually not that bad right now. It scales up fairly well, and it can be a powerhouse in those late games fights, especially if if the enemy team's not building anti-heal, obviously. But there is possibility there, though I feel it is harder to execute than it has been historically.
Yeah, and one thing to mention is that a lot of these, mage mid laners that we're talking about here are a relatively good matchup for the Galio. Galio is gonna have that magic damage shield coming out of the passive, and usually Galio's not too against going up against some AP champions in the mid lane. So yet again, just increases the priority on this pick.
Yeah, and now, since we've exhausted the top side of the map, let's move into this bottom lane. We have Lestuya and Bob Joseph versus Alidus. How much you say that?
Yeah, Alidus, yeah. I think
Alidus, sure. And then WPG support 1. And I mean, these guys, what I know of ADCs is that they're more willing to play anything. They're less likely to get shoehorned into a specific style, mainly because of how limited the ADC pool can be. And so you just need to be willing to play that. But something I do want to point out as they are bringing this up in the chat, but Shaco support. What are your thoughts on that? A potential pickup for Ohio State support.
Bob Joseph has a very interesting champion pool, and by interesting I mean literally plays every single champion in support. You got the Shaco here, bit of an unconventional pick, however still effective. I know they're playing a lot of Maokai at the beginning of the season. Obviously Blitzcrank, #1 on the match history right now in games played. Obviously the Thresh, but a lot of playmaking supports coming out from this player. So definitely gonna want to look and see what's going on there. Shaco is a bit of a pocket pick, I would say, coming out from him. So we'll see what happens.
Maybe not something we need to be too worried about, but the people that see him in solo queue might need to be worried about it there.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully not in competitive, but he has a mind of his own.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. There are 2 minds in there, and both of those Shaco clones, or maybe there's 0 among those 2, and that would be worrying.
One is a clone, so it's not real.
I guess so. But something else that I want to point out is, since I am very experienced with 3 players on Ohio State's team, Lestuya, Mukov, and Biogamer, since I coached them for a bit. But Lestuya, he is willing to play a lot. He's willing to not just play ADCs. He does have pocket picks that he sometimes ring out. So that definitely could be a look for the Ohio State in these drafts, and it could keep Manitoba on their toes. It's definitely something to be aware of.
You make a good point there, but I also know this player.
Your rival.
Player known to be a bit of an Ezreal player. Ezreal with exhaust, might I say, and a cleanse on occasion. So likes to play champions like Ezreal, Kai'Sa, even rocking the Sivir recently. But yeah, like you said, not opposed to playing mages in the bottom lane.
Hey, at least this player has reached Diamond, unlike somebody on this cast right now. I'm not naming names, but it is something to bring out.
All I gotta say is look at the game difference. That's all I gotta say.
We are still a little bit waiting for this game.
We're still stalling, but for the time being, how's everyone doing in the chat? Hope you guys are having a great day. We're Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. We'll get there soon. It's been an interesting week for sure. It's been
been very interesting. I hope that you guys caught me last Sunday or Saturday when unfortunately we saw Ohio State go 0-3. But it was a good cast, so I hope you guys are aware that we are casting a lot of these games, and we do have other games as well that we cast and are active in with the Ohio State team. So definitely check those out. Follow our socials and everything.
Yeah, make sure you gotta hit that follow button on Twitch. Get those going live notifications, because we got action all the time for you. We got multiple teams, we got multiple games: Overwatch, League of Legends, Rocket League, and so we're trying to get the content out to you guys for your entertainment purposes. Hopefully you guys enjoy everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much to talk about before we bore you guys out, so you take it, Ryan. What do you want to tell me? Tell me something new.
There's not much to say. I'm wondering what the play is. We're 10 minutes over right now. We're still waiting on the players to to get into their lobby and see what's going on. I don't think we've heard anything from the from the other squad yet. Okay, we just got word. We have an update now, so we're gonna go to a break for a couple minutes, and we'll be back then to get into pick ban for this game between OSU Academy and Manitoba Bison. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now finally into this into our client draft here. Manitoba showed up 15 minutes late, and because of that, we're penalized with their first 3 bans. So we're seeing
they were under 15 minutes. They were under 15 minutes. So it's actually they only lose the first 3 bans because they were more than 10 minutes late. If they were 15 minutes, they lose all of their bans. So luckily for them, they still get 2 bans. They get 2 whole bans.
You know what? 2 bans can do a lot. 2 bans can do a lot for sure.
That does feel really bad when you are red side, so your opponent can just get whatever first pick they dream of.
Yeah, this is what you dream about if you're a coach and you're able to draft. You say, I can get any pick that I want, no bans at all. And you got Vladimir, Camille, and Hecarim. So not gonna be Hecarim in the jungle for OSU, but we'll see what they go for.
Bio scared that since they do have the first pick, that they could just Hecarim something else, because I believe they. Oh man, I believe that Manitoba went Hecarim Jax of 1-2 rotation on red side 2 games in a row. So that's definitely something OSU is aware of and is trying to avoid. And then they banned the Seraphine, and so we have to restart that again.
Dang it. Unlucky.
It's unlucky, but this happens. This happens a lot. I mean, Ryan and I, in another league that we cast, there's a lot of these issues, and hopefully this is the only game that we do see this in, because they're all here now. We don't have to wait for anyone else to get here. So hopefully this goes better next couple games.
Yeah, no more delays in the draft, at least for the time being. We should be getting back into this in the next couple seconds here, as hopefully we should just get that last player back into the lobby and right away back into the draft here.
Here you go.
I mean, are we gonna have to wait out these 30-second bans again?
Yeah, we will. So we have to wait a whole 90 about 90 seconds for these bans to time out. Hopefully they don't jump the gun and ban Seraphine, because unlike some people, I want to see Seraphine win.
Stop, please. No memeing. No. Either way, we'll see the same bans from OSU. I would imagine Vladimir, Camille, Hecarim should be coming out soon. Could have thought that a potential first pick Hecarim could be in order for the Academy squad, but they opted to not do that. What do you think about that?
I feel like
Hecarim, the first pick prio.
Hecarim first pick is very scary to pull off. I honestly think Seraphine is really important, but we could expect another jungle because of how strong BioGamer is as a player. We could definitely see another jungler. I just feel that Hecarim isn't it when it comes to first pick. I feel that there's too much you can do to play around it and to shut it down that it doesn't warrant enough of a first pick. Whereas Seraphine, as I hit my mic, Seraphine, you have 3 separate lanes that it could go into, so it's very hard to play around and very hard to actually accurately just determine where that champion is going to go and what you need to be worried about. And so with them banning it away, since they knew since they knew Manitoba chose the Hecarim in that first rotation in both of their games last week, they banned it away, and they just try to have some other power pick right there. I mean, it could be, I think you could pick an ADC there. I think it's going to be either jungler or Seraphine. Those are my guesses. I don't know which jungler, but a jungler.
Yeah, obviously we talked about the Nunu and the Hecarim a bit earlier. I don't imagine we're going to get a Nunu first pick here. I think Seraphine, you make a good point there. Triple flex can go in the bot lane or the mid lane as well. And this champion is pretty broken, in my opinion, I think. Infinite scaling, but instead, I totally forgot. Forgot about this.
We did talk about this.
We did talk about this, but the Galio is going to be the first pick there. Super highly prioritized by both of these teams in the mid lane. Yeah, it is also a flex pick, but with that Galio pickup, it's going to sacrifice over Seraphine and Udyr to Manitoba.
Yeah, Seraphine, like we were just talking about, is a super strong champion. It's not something you often want to give away, but in Ohio State's case, they did see that they gave it away. Obviously, it's not banned, and I mean, it could have even been the leak with Tiger Clown accidentally picking it or banning it when they're supposed to be picking it. But then we do see that Udyr picked up beside it, and Udyr has received a couple bans, but matched up against the Skarner, this is a champion that we've been seeing rise and more in popularity, because even if you feed, you're still making the enemy team buy 1,300 gold QSSs. So
yeah,
it's just a tax.
I was actually watching, I believe it was a Double Lift co-stream the other day, and he was talking about the Skarner, the power of the Skarner and the tax here, and he was basically saying, like, if you're able to position correctly, you shouldn't have to buy this QSS. And it's definitely going to be important to see what Manitoba can do against this Skarner. You also have the Blitzcrank now being locked in by OSU. So even more crowd control there. You get a rocket grab in, right into the Skarner, right into the Galio taunt. So definitely a lot of CC coming out for this OSU squad in this first three. Manitoba is going to finish their first rotation off with the Rel pickup.
That Rel pick does give Ohio State a bit more information. The Seraphine could still be a flex pick going into either the mid or the ADC position, but obviously it's still for debate. And banning away the Jinx, it's still unknown. It's still, you still have that opportunity up. You still have options open. Ohio State, obviously not knowing that, opts to just ban away more top laners. They could ban an ADC here if they're fairly confident it's going to be mid or vice versa, but it's just the safer bet to just ban away top laners, so then you don't waste bans essentially. But something I do want to highlight of what Ohio State has right now, I really like the Blitzcrank pick into Seraphine, because even if you don't hook the Seraphine, if somebody you hook has a Seraphine shield, with that Blitzcrank ultimate breaking shields, it's just so useful in countering the power of that champion.
I agree. The Blitzcrank ultimate is so good at, you know, being used into any of these enchanters who their abilities have shields on. Blitzcrank ulti is going to just completely destroy any shield that is out in the area when it is used. And I think it's super good because Seraphine is not mobile either. So if you get hit with a rocket grab, you're pretty much dead.
Unless you have flash. But then you also get hooked by Skarner. So really, it's very scary. Now we do see the Swain locked in, and this should be going to kept in the mid lane. This is what they ran against Middle Sticks last week, and it was scary. It was very effective, and it was ended up being banned in the next game. So obviously it was effective enough to warrant that extra ban in the next game. And we do see Lestuya hovering an Ezreal, though. Yeah, I wasn't expecting an Ezreal. I think Kai'Sa is a much better pick here.
I think you might have been paying homage to me on that pick there. With that Ezreal hover, but yeah, of course, Kai'Sa's open. You gotta take the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, Kai'Sa still a super strong pick. Was not nerfed as hard as Samira was. The nerfs that went through were pretty reasonable. The champion is still very playable, and we see a potential. This has to be the blind top lane pick for Mookub up in the top lane, and if that's an Urgot, that's spicy.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be the Urgot locked in for Mookub in the top lane here, and we're starting to see these drafts sort of round out. The last pick coming in for Manitoba should be in a few short seconds, and we'll see potentially a top lane pick coming out, I would imagine. The Seraphine and the Swain.
I'd hope so.
Go, however, yeah, I mean, that should be the play, what you're thinking, but Aatrox is going to be the pick for Tiger Clown in the top lane for Manitoba.
Yeah, and this is something that we wanted to highlight earlier, because the largest rank discrepancy that we saw in this game was in that top lane. So okay, yeah, I was hoping that Shinboxer didn't hold on to the Urgot, but seeing Mookub on an Urgot instead of a more traditional tank is kind of worrisome. It has to, if you're an Ohio State fan, you have to be very hopeful that Mookub is able to, at very least, survive and not get punished by this Aatrox Udyr super heavily.
What do you think about the top lane matchup here, the Urgot versus the Aatrox? Do you think it's bad for Urgot?
I mean, I'm not too versed on Urgot matchups, but seeing as Tiger Clown picked the Aatrox into it, I'm assuming it's a pretty favorable matchup, and Aatrox is very good at this team fighting style. And so if Aatrox is able to just stay alive, then they're able to actually affect these team fights, and it should be very helpful, especially when paired up with that Seraphine and Rel. Like, having that Rel engage and then having the Aatrox just be able to extend so much CC and have those shields and heals, and it sets up a very scary Aatrox type of carry, because you have a lot of supportive bits, and I mean, the side of Manitoba is lacking damage. That is something they need to be worried about.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Manitoba has a lot of bruisers on their team, but there's not really one true like 1v9 run through the backline. I guess you can say maybe Aatrox can do that, but you don't have that sustained damage for a long period of time, like you would have if you have a traditional AD carry on your team. Instead, they have the Samira to be buffing up the rest of the squad. Sorry, Seraphine, to be buffing up the rest of the squad. The Aatrox, the Udyr, giving them shields, giving them heals, and then eventually using that Seraphine ultimate to hit everyone from across the map on the enemy team and set up plays like that.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely see the styles that these teams want to play, because we have the Skarner and Galio and Blitzcrank, so probably before these fights, Ohio State is going to try to force a mismatch numbers fight. They want to get one of these picks off. They want to use one of these tools to just try to pick somebody off and try to go into these fights with uneven numbers, because on the side of Manitoba, this comp is very good at fighting. They have the Seraphine, Swain, Aatrox, Rel. That's a lot. I mean, Udyr would just run around and slap people, but that's all he does anyways, and it's still somehow very scary. But these parts are very good in these fights, and if they can escape the lanes unscathed and are actually able to get to these fights at level or ahead points, then it should be scary for Ohio State if they're not able to capitalize on these pick-making tools.
Yeah, it's a good point talking about that there, and you talked a little bit about Ohio State wanting to make plays, wanting to take outnumbered fights. You have the Skarner, you have the Blitzcrank for CC, you have the Galio to make the plays around the map. But what do you think about this bottom lane, just with the Kai'Sa Blitzcrank versus the Rel Seraphine? It should be pretty volatile, I would imagine.
Yeah, it should be very volatile, and I place a lot of the onus into the hands of Bob Joseph. Because if they're actually able to get these hooks off onto the Seraphine, or even the Rel for that sake, like, it's scary, because Seraphine has no escapes. Rel does have I mean, at that point, if the Rel gets hooked in, they could just counter-engage and just go in also. But the Seraphine will lack damage for a while, and Kai'Sa, being a traditional attack damage carry, they don't have to worry as much about losing mana in the lane, and are able to actually take these fights, be aggressive, and try to look for some 2v2 or 3v3 kills.
One thing I do want to mention here is the bottom lane for Ohio State. Both of these players, Bob Joseph and Lastuya, are on their most played champions this season. Blitzcrank for Bob Joseph and Kai'Sa for Lastuya, respectively. And on the other side for Manitoba, it is certainly not the case. Rel is I believe 2 games. WPG support has 2 games on the Rel, and then Elitis has 4 games on the Seraphine. So definitely comfort in favor of Ohio State in this bottom lane. So we'll see if that has any impact on how the lane state goes.
Yeah, we'd have to expect that these teams would have practiced this in scrims of some sort, so they would have some practice with the combination, because Seraphine Rel is not something that you just need to see, because the Rel is an emphasis on going in. The Seraphine does have some damage to back it up, but you have to play the lane very differently in that you can't always look for these 2v2 kills. You need to just be focused, saying, okay, I scale. No matter what happens here, I'll be useful later, as long as I don't feed 10 deaths.
Yeah, that is the hard part about it, right? Just trying not to feed. A lot easier said than done for most cases, but we should be getting onto the Rift here in a few short minutes. We are going through a bit of a competitive integrity spectator delay. And once we get through that, we'll be able to get a little more into, the runes, the intricacies of these team compositions, and the individual players. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about while we have some time?
I feel that Swain actually is a good answer to the Galio, because I feel that Swain, at least once they're able to pick up items, especially just that Lost Chapter, they're able to match the push, or somewhat. They're able to somewhat match the push of the Galio, and don't allow the Galio the opportunity to just leave the lane. Because if Swain can continue to push that turret and just push the waves and get it crashing on the turret, then it doesn't give Galio the opportunity to actually leave without just wasting a bunch of resources. So it is a good pick, and I feel like it trades pretty well into the Galio, and it should be good overall. Obviously, they picked it into the Galio, so hopefully they know something I don't. And so we should see some good response from the side of Manitoba there.
We talked about earlier how the Galio wants to push the waves in and then roam. But yeah, I think that's a great point there, is Swain is able to match that push pretty easily. It'll be interesting to see if the Swain opts to go for teleport or ignite, Obviously, Ignite would be the more kill-centered focus on the laning phase, but Teleport would allow Kept to be able to rotate around the map and sort of match these Galio plays if Shootmaster is able to get the upper hand in the lane.
Yeah, and I'm looking at our jungle matchup now. This is Udyr versus Skarner, and I mean, Udyr has received a lot of nerfs. I mean, Udyr's received, I think, like, it's 2 or 3 consecutive patches worth of nerfs. None of them apparently too big, because we're still seeing Udyr picked here. And we are hopping into game now.
We are onto the Rift here as we see game 1 between Ohio State and the Manitoba Bisons here. We see a little bit of a stack coming out for OSU in this top river bush here. And I'm going to wait a second before we go down these team rosters just to make sure nothing goes on here. It looks like we're not going to get much too far, but for OSU in the top lane, Mukub on the Urgot, Bio Gamer on Skarner in the jungle, Shoonwaxter on Galio in the mid lane, and Lestudio and Bob Joseph piloting the Kaisa and Blitzcrank in the bottom lane.
We have on the side of the Manitoba Bisons, we have Tiger Clan on the Aatrox in the top lane, Hun on Udyr in the mid lane, Kept one on Swain in the mid lane, and Alidus and Tate Alice on Seraphine and Rel in that bottom lane. And as we see, Ohio State just getting that Spire up there in the top lane. No action yet.
No action yet. Both of these teams just getting some wards out. Early vision. You can see that BioGamer is going to be starting on the top side, while Hyun decides to start on the bottom side for this Udyr, getting that bigger pull from the bottom lane. But this will give the OSU bot lane priorities if they want to take it. Looks like they might just look for a cheese, but it's worded out. And we'll see where these junglers opt to go in this early game, because I think it'll make a big difference and see who can impart their will early.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be important to see who can, yeah, as you said, impart their will early. But I'm more siding that we're going to be seeing Udyr as we see a hook in the bot lane.
Elitist taking trade pretty low as Teathalis. Going to just jump in, try to buy some space for his AD carry. And yeah, already we're seeing Bob Joseph playing aggressive in this bottom lane. You can see trying to get this trade up. Level 2 is available there, and we'll see if anything comes out of that yet. But for the time being, OSU bot lane, early lane prio, just like I expected.
Yeah, but we do see, another hook landing from Bob Joseph.
Just trading back and forth here. Elitist taking a bad trade right there off the start of that hook, and that's gonna feel really, really bad if you're Seraphine. You need to be able to, pressure this lane, farm under tower, but if you have a Blitzcrank just running you down and throwing hooks at you, it makes it really hard.
Luckily, she did have double pots and biscuits now to burn, so she won't be feeling that for long, but if a couple more of those trades happen, then she could be in very dangerous waters.
For sure, indeed. And we see this Udyr already making his way into the top lane here. Alternating jungle starts will lead to alternating level 3 ganks on the other side of the map, and we'll see if Udyr opts to go for this gank in the early game. Mukub pushing a relatively big wave in, and we're going to see a little battle coming out here as Tiger Clown's going to go in, going to get bear slapped up. Mukub has to run for the hills, and the flash is available, but it doesn't look like there's anywhere to go as first blood for Tiger Clown in the top lane.
Yeah, and that's really big for the Bisons. I mean, there was nothing spent. They did not use a flash, they did not use a single summoner spell, and Mukub fell for first blood, and that's huge for the Aatrox. This lane isn't in a great spot for Urgot, to my knowledge at least, from what we last saw of it. But this is not what you want to see Urgot to need to be useful in this game. Needs to actually get a lead. It's a lot harder for him to just be even and to actually affect this game as an Aatrox could with their team.
You'd have to think that was a bit odd, actually, to die to that gank there. I'm not sure if there was 100% vision that the Udyr started on the bottom side of the map. However, it still seems weird that Mukub, is falling prey to that gank, especially when the jungler's on the opposite side of the map. You know that it's a bit odd. The wave was in a bit of a bad spot, but it looks like it's going to happen one more time. Here's Mukub, victim to another gank on top of him, their flash, and the Udyr flashing right after him. And Tiger Clown is going to get a second kill for themselves here into the bottom lane. More fighting back and forth as Lestudio and Bob Joseph are relentless in the push here. Teathalis running down the Kaisa, going to get the flip back. And Elitist doing what damage they can. Cleanse going to burn from Lestudio, and a heal to respond. Now Rocket grabs him, land onto the rail. The flash forward stun Lestuya having to burn the flash to get away from that ignite and a follow-up damage from the Manitoba bot lane. But this bot lane is super volatile, just like we were expecting.
And already as we're seeing early, it's just a Seraphine Rel is able to sustain so much more than the Kai'Sa Blitzcrank. It's definitely not what you want to see, but a teleport.
Teleport coming in from Schoonmaxter, as well as the TP from, I believe, Kept. And now Schoonmaxter is in the middle of 4 people as Manitoba is going to donate the 3rd kill of the game to Aatrox in the top lane here. Now 3-0 for Tiger Clown.
So it would have been bad enough for Mookub to fall down like a couple waves of farm. But being down 3 kills and 10 CS still is really not what you want to see. We talked about this matchup being the most lopsided matchup in the game. But a hook coming in from Bob Joseph.
Bob Joseph, what can Lestuya do? Is there any damage to follow it up? No, not yet, as no summoners for the Kai'Sa to aggress any further. But yeah, like you were saying, Mookub, rough situation to be in right now if you are this Urgot.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to see, but I want to give props to Hun. They were actually ganking this game, and this is the time that Urgot has the advantage over the Skarner. Skarner is still not able to do anything this game because they do not have ult. Seeing a little bit of trading in the mid lane, but Skarner just trying to farm for that ultimate, just trying to actually be a useful champion in this game. But once Udyr has his E, that's all they need to be useful, and they've been plenty useful with just that.
As we approach the 6.5-minute mark here, Manitoba up about 1.7k gold and 3 kills in favor of them so far. We'll see as the dragon is spawning. It looks like OSU is going to try to get rid of some of this vision in the river. BioGamer is going to find the Udyr here. Going to get a stun, trying to run for the hills, but the numbers are on their way. A nice little rocket grab. Going to be a CC chain coming out. Taunt, hook. Here and taken really low, but not dead yet as the flash forward from Schoonmaxter is going to secure that one. Now BioGamer has to run for the hills, going to get the stun and flash to safety. But a nice return kill coming out for OSU on that play.
Yeah, at least OSU has something going their way. As long as, and as they're looking towards this dragon fight, as long as Aatrox doesn't get there, it's a very even fight on the rest of the board. Like, as long as you're able to separate the Aatrox from the rest of his team, you definitely have opportunities to fight, and that's what we saw Ohio State did. There's a little bit of a lack of damage on the side of Ohio State, but Galio was luckily able to secure that kill. Now we're going to be looking at these teams setting up just a bit more dragon pressure as Bio still trying to hit level 6.
Still trying to hit level 6 indeed, and Tiger Clown is going to do whatever they can to delay the inevitable for just a bit longer, as just pressuring Bio in the jungle. And that's what happens when you have all this lane prio in the top lane. You can run in, get some wards down, try to scout out the enemy jungler, and with Bio being seen in the top side, Manitoba is going to sit their sights onto this dragon.
Yeah, this is just a free dragon for Manitoba, and this is a dragon that you really would have wanted if you're Ohio State. It's the Cloud Dragon that gives you your Skarner ult up 10% sooner, and gives you your Galio ult up 10% sooner. On the Bisons, I mean, you have the Swain and Seraphine ult. Those are nice, but it's definitely not as impactful. But it's very good to be able to take that away from the side of Ohio State. As we're looking with the Infernal Dragon spawning, that's where we're either going to be seeing a Mountain or an Ocean Soul this game.
Mountain or Ocean Soul indeed. And is there any one in particular that you would like to see more for this game?
I think if you're the Bisons, you definitely want that Ocean Soul.
Hold on 1 second here as BioGamer gonna get pulled back by the Swain Claw and chunked down to about 2/3 HP. But I think for now, the Scorpion's gonna go back into the jungle, take the rest of the camps that are available, and shouldn't be too much going on here. Bob Joseph looking for the hook. Nice flash away by Elitis to dispel any of that danger there, and Mookub in a whole world of pain in this top lane.
Yeah, it's very on point hooks coming out from Bob Joseph, but flash up from LDS, and so able to dodge that out and save their lives.
See, looking for another one here. Oh, close. Just the threat of this Blitzcrank is so strong here, and you can see, just looking at the CS advantages already, we're almost 10 minutes into this game here. About a 22 CS lead in the top lane for Tiger Clown. In the jungle, it's about even. In the mid lane, Kept is advantageous. About 2 waves, close to 3 waves. And then in the bottom lane, Lestuya is up about 2 waves. So overall, gold is still in favor of the Bisons. About 15 100 and that of those kills, and then this lead in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Aatrox still super far ahead. Udyr was spotted out. Hook from Bob Joseph. Hooking the Rel is not what you want to do. He's fishing for the hooks onto that Seraphine, but Rel just gives that Rel a lot more opportunity to actually just jump on your aces. So not what you want to see. Skarner sitting down there, but was spotted out, so Udyr is going to feel confident enough to go for that Rift Herald again, potentially.
Yeah, this is definitely a favorable win, I'd say, for Manitoba on this top side. Obviously, your mid laner's not there yet, so you're not going to have the mid prior in the mid lane, and that's why you can already see Schoonmaster's walking up to this topside river to try to look at the Herald. But it looks like, you know, Manitoba should be able to take this Herald down with relative ease. It looks like OSU's collapsing now, but the numbers are there. Kept is already back. Bob Joseph is on the roam here. We'll see what happens as Biogamer has Smite as well. 50-50 is going to go over to Hune, but now the fight ensuing. Bob Joseph onto Kept here. His heroic entrance is going to land over the top. Knocked up onto no one yet, but Schoonmaster's on Kept. We're going to get this press back, and Mookub is going to fear one. Skarner ulti onto the Udyr, and that's going to be 2 kills going over to OSU, evening up the kills 3-3.
I mean, if nothing more, if your Urgot builds full tank, that ult will at least execute some low health targets, and so Urgot's able to secure a kill for himself. Still very behind this Aatrox, but hopefully they'll be able to put a little bit more pressure onto him now.
Yeah, obviously that's going to be the goal here. Try to stop this bleeding in the top lane as much as possible. You can see the CS lead is now up to 43, and Mookub is going to feel good to get a little bit of gold back for himself in this matchup for sure.
And so as we're seeing pings in the chat, what I want to see from Ohio State is them to just play around that Skarner R. It's what allowed them to execute that fight so well and to actually secure on these kills. And definitely what they want in this next fight. Probably just try to one-shot or just Skarner off the Aatrox and just try to one-shot them, because without that, it's a difficult fight to win. True.
What for that objective? That if they can get that gold, we will see. Time will tell. But for the time being, Dragon, Inferno will spawn 5 seconds, and we'll see these teams look to head favor Manitoba. This bot said river. See what happens here. Biogamer burning the ultimate onto Kept here as the taunt should be there as well. Now Swain's gonna pop the demonic ascension to live for a bit longer. The Seraphine ulti is huge. 3-man charm here, and it looks pretty bad as Tiger Clown goes on a rampage. Bob Joseph has to run for the hills. He has Burning Flash trying to get away. Now Sula is in the middle of the whole team. Killer Instinct and a cleanse to try to get out, but there is no running from the Aatrox.
Oh,
a triple kill, a quadra kill for Tiger Clown, and the Dragon is Manitoba's.
This might be a pentakill. Bob Joseph is up there. Oh, I think he's able to snake out just in time. He's able to get executed, but that's a great fight coming out from the Manitoba Bisons. I mean, you executed well, and it came off the back of a little bit of a misplay coming out from the side of Ohio State. We saw the Skarner ult drop onto the Swain, but there was no damage to kill that Swain. Swain was in no threat of dying there.
Demonic Ascension was so big, keeping Kept alive. Kept was kept alive, and that's really all it comes down to. They're able to tank up so much of that pressure, and Tiger Clown coming in, able to just absolutely wipe the floor with OSU. And now Manitoba Bison set at a 3.7k gold lead at about 14 minutes into this game.
I mean, that was a 4-man Seraphine ult. It was just a crazy performance from really all parts of Manitoba. I mean, barring the Udyr, but there's only so much you can do on that champion. No discredit to Hun, but it's, I mean, very impressive team fight overall, and it's just scary for Ohio State because you're giving these scaling players, you're giving the Seraphine, you're giving the Swain time to actually scale up, and just look at what's happening to your Urgot in the top lane. Aatrox took no damage.
Super rough there as the CS lead has grown to about 50 now. Bob Joseph and the rest of OSU looking for play in the mid lane, but the Magnet Storm, look at the damage on Bob Joseph, taking pretty low now as this Swain is trying to do what he can, kind of find the damage, and there it is. Now the hook's gonna land onto Schuenmoxer, and Skarner pulling down this rel into the rest of the team, gonna get the flip off in time, but Schuenmoxer bringing the flash to try to get away, but the Udyr is running him down. A double kill, a triple kill for Kept. And bad goes to worse for Ohio State as this mid lane tower will likely fall. And that's going to be the first tower of the game going over, and that gold funneled into the Swain and the Seraphine is going to feel pretty good for Manitoba.
Yeah, it feels really good for Manitoba. Ohio State, you're wondering what is your window? Because you found a nice 2v3 in the mid lane. It was only Swain and Ralph for most of that fight, but you lost that. So you're trying to think, okay, so we can't win the 2v3, what can we win? And that is the question right now for Ohio State. That is the process they have to be going through for themselves. They have to be figuring out what are the plays we can make, how can we actually get through this fight and actually win, do anything, get any positive gains. Because right now they're sitting about over 6k gold behind, and it's just gonna get worse.
I do want to take a second here while we have a little bit of break in the action to pick your brain. You know, the mastermind behind Michael himself. What do you think that Ohio State can do to try to get back into this game?
Roam as a 4-stack with Blitzcrank and try to get a pick somewhere. Try to be able to do enough damage to one-shot somebody before the rest of the team can show up, or else it's doomed. Because you have the Seraphine, you have the Row, you have the Swain, you have all these options to turn a losing fight into a winning one, and it just gets scary. And in this first game, in this best of 3, it's already looking pretty rough for Ohio State.
It is looking pretty rough here, and I didn't mention this earlier, but with that second dragon going down, being the Infernal, the Oceans have brought life to the Rift. We're going to get an Ocean Soul for this game here. And if you think that Aatrox is unkillable now, just wait until that Aatrox can get some Ocean Dragons and a potential Ocean Soul here. Maybe let's do aggressing onto Kept, landing that Void Seeker. Yeah, pretty good damage, I would say. About half HP onto that Swain. But Manitoba is back on to this Rift Herald here. Teleport is available for Tiger Clown as he is pushing into the bottom lane, trying to get the second tower for his team. And the Rift Herald is now spotted out here. We'll see if OSU opts to contest for it. Hook's gonna land Magnet Storm, but a nice hook onto Kept. Demonic Ascension is not enough. Shutdown for Schuenmoxer. Now Teleport's coming in here. Biogamer's taking pretty low, but he's gonna get the pullback on to the Udyr. Udyr is gonna get the kill onto Skarner, but now Hun has to run for the hills here. And now Aatrox is here, baby. What can you do? Gonna get one back as a double kill for Hun, but Aatrox is not done. Lestuya takes so much damage, and Schuenmoxer's doing what he can to peel. The towers is enough to get the shutdown. That is a huge, huge shutdown going over to the Kaisa. And a 2 for 2 actually. Going even in this team fight is huge for OSU. However, it is going to cost them this Rift Herald, and hopefully for OSU, Mukub on this bottom side able to get a tower, get a little bit of gold back for themselves. And I guess Manitoba opts to just not even go for this Rift Herald.
That's really, really strange to me. That was definitely a Rift Herald take, and then you use that to pressure somewhere else while you go for this next dragon, but it's really strange to me that they didn't opt for that, because if we take a look at the minimap right now, all 5 pink wards from Manitoba are on that side. They knew they were protected, they knew they had time, and yet they opt to back, reset for this streak, and I mean, it is their soul point, so it definitely is something you want to get to, because Ocean Soul with your comp is disgusting, but it looks like a hook out from Bob Joseph.
Let's see if there's any damage to kill this Udyr here. He has the chem tank, he has the stone-plated shoes, so he should be able to survive a good amount here as Manitoba is going to walk into this river, collect the control of the river for themselves here, and look to start up this dragon here. Gold lead is still about 4.5k in favor of Manitoba, so the lead has shrunk a little bit. But we'll see if this 5-on-5 team fight will go in OSU's favor, similar to the way the last one did. I think Tiger Clown got a bit aggressive diving into that tower, but we'll see what happens here. Demonic Ascension is popped. Hook's gonna land. Magnet Storm onto 2. That's a pretty nice ultimate. Now Kurok enters over the top, and the Seraphine ulti charms 3 and Kept. Already he's gonna get the kill onto Mukub. Bob Joseph taking pretty low, and Biogamer is gonna take down the Rel on the other side of the fight here. But Tiger Clown is running through the back line of OSU. A double kill for Kept so far, and Biogamer is onto Kept, and Lestuya absolutely one-shot by this Aatrox. There's really nothing you can do. A triple kill going over to Kept, and Tiger Clown is running down Biogamer, but the speed is there to get the Scorpion to safety. a 4-for-1 in favor of Manitoba, and this dragon should be theirs. Now sitting at soul point. So in about 5 minutes, a potential Ocean Soul will make this team really, really hard to kill.
It was a very heroic effort coming out from BioGamer and Studio on the back half of that fight, but I mean, not all heroes win at the end of the day. I mean, they fell to the power of the Bisons, and it's just so hard to actually punch through these members with the Seraphine backing them up. And the Seraphine 0010 has the Moonstone, building towards the Staff of Flowing Water. It's just very, very difficult to actually punch through these members.
It is really rough. I mean, Seraphine, so much shielding, so much healing. Add some Ocean Dragons onto there, and the Moonstone. It's a rough go, certainly.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough go. And I mean, for the side of Ohio State, you got some kills there. You have your Kaisa picking up that 1,000 gold shutdown just a bit earlier, but still does not feel like enough. You're down about 6k. You're down 3 dragons. It's 4 minutes till Ocean Soul, and that's worst case scenario for you. For the Bisons, you don't even have to worry about getting the Baron. All that matters to you right now is that Ocean Soul. That lasts for the rest of the game, and it makes you unkillable. It's like looking at each of the members on the side of the Manitoba Bisons. It's once they get the Ocean Soul, there's not anything Ohio State can do, I don't feel.
One thing, I'm looking at the items right now. The Skarner pick, we talked about it a lot. Able to, force the enemy team into that 1,300 gold tax. But look at what I'm seeing right now. Nobody on Manitoba has a QSS.
If you're far enough ahead,
it doesn't even matter. Yeah, it does not even matter, as Manitoba just seems to be not scared, unfazed by BioGamer on this pick. But now Mookub getting aggressed on into the bottom lane, gonna get stunned up, flip, blocked out by Kep, and there's really nothing that this Urgot can do against these two members of Manitoba. Mookub gonna go down once more for the 5th time this game, and let's see what Tiger Clown can do on the other side of the map here. So he's gonna get a certainly not favored numbers advantage. A 3v1 so far popped up. Tiger Clown is 4v1 now. Gordrick is going to be a pretty solid heal, but it does not even matter, as Lestuya going to secure another shutdown on this Aatrox. Now going to be 3-2-2 on this Kaisa here. And with that kill going down, a lot of this gold from Manitoba has been taken away onto the Baron. OSU is going to just start it up, and this is really, really nuts, I think. 26 seconds left on this Aatrox, but the TP is going to be available. The TP is coming in from Mookub here in about 7k HP. The jungler is available. Eyes on the Udyr here. Magnet Storm onto 2. Kept is going to get 1 onto BioGamer. The jungler is down already for OSU. Heroic Engine's over the top. And Tathalis is also going to fall, so it's a 1-for-1 so far. But Manitoba has gotten OSU off the Baron. It's going to be a support for jungler trade, and that's going to favor Manitoba every single time.
I mean, it does end up favoring Manitoba, but at the end of the day, if you're Ohio State, any good is good gold. Any press is good press. I mean, they're getting something. They don't lose the Baron. Their jungler will be up by the time Dragon or anything is important. And I mean, that's really all you can ask for. I mean, no, you can ask for a lot more, but that's really all you're gonna get at this point. You're gonna get an even trade, and you hope you don't lose anything off the back of it.
I mean, I don't know if you saw that right there with the gold grass, but 4,000 gold lead in the top lane, a 2,000 gold lead in the mid and jungle. The only role that is not, ahead for Manitoba is this AD carry position, and that's pretty much off the back of those giant shutdowns going over to Lestuya twice. But yeah, definitely favorable for Manitoba so far. And the Dragon spawning in about 1 minute. We'll see. OSU has to contest this Dragon. You can already see everyone walking down here. A nice hook landing onto Tathalis. The taunt is there to follow it up, and Lestuya going to secure 1 more, but a 4-man root. Lestuya is going to go down as well. Elitist going to secure that one. Now BioGamer find himself in the middle of 4 people. He should go down pretty soon, as well as Kep is going to go unstoppable, and Manitoba is running over OSU. Mookub, the next victim to fall to Elitist. And Bob, Joseph, and Shootmax have to sit and run as their team gets decimated right before this Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, this should be the Ocean Soul going over to the Manitoba Bisons, but it looks like they're not done chasing.
They are not done. Bob Joseph flashing to get away. Yeah, it looks like it should be pretty done now here, as you got that summoner spell out of the Blitzcrank, and it's a free Ocean Soul relatively. I mean, 16 seconds until that spawns. BioGamer's not up for another couple seconds, and there's really should be no contest from OSU. They can't walk up at all, otherwise they just die. Look at Tiger Clan just sitting over the wall waiting. Well, he jumped over now, but you know.
He was over the wall. But
He was over
I mean,
the wall.
this is the Ocean Soul, unless Blitzcrank somehow gets this with the hook, which he doesn't. This is bad.
Nice. Gonna hook over Kept, and the rest of the team is going Magnet Storm onto 2 members, and Bob Joseph is already down. Seraphine ulti's gonna charm up 1 as Shootmoxer will fall right after, and a 2 for 0 so far as Manitoba looks to run down this mid lane. The Baron is available if they want to go for it, and with a 5v3 numbers advantage, it looks to be the smart play as they're gonna all walk up. Biogamer's down 2 levels on his counterpart. So yeah, it's not even a 50-50. It's like a 70-30, if that, 75-25 in favor of the Manitoba squad right now. And teleport's not available from Muka, but he is in the area. If they can stall for 10 seconds, Shootmoxer has a teleport to get in, but I don't even think OSU can walk up to this objective here. Kept, look at this zonage from him, and the Baron should be going over to Manitoba at about 25 minutes and 45 seconds into this one.
Yeah, I mean, Manitoba has all the parts that they need. Unless they really, really wanted to stall out for the Elder Drake for some reason, they can finish this game right here. They just need to push down a lane. If they're grouped up, it is impossible for Ohio State to actually kill him. There are 3 parts of Grievous Wounds on the side of Ohio State, but 2 are conditional in that they need to actually hit you. And at that point, I'm not sure it's mattering too much. Galio does have the Morel and Omicron, but I don't think they spread it fast enough, actually, for anything to matter. And as we get into as we see Manitoba actually grouping up, this is the end for Ohio State in this game 1, probably.
Not sure, you never know. You know, there still is a chance for a hero play here as Biogamer gonna get the pull back on to Kept, but he's just gonna go in Magnet Storm, and Bob Joseph takes some damage under the tower. He's gonna go down. Kept is godlike, gonna go golden to drop that tower aggro as Biogamer is getting chased down by an angry bear. He will fall, as well as this inner mid lane tower for OSU. Onto the inhib towers they go, and with a 5v3 numbers advantage, you'd have to think that Manitoba looks to the end here. About 25 seconds left on Biogamer, the jungler for OSU, as this next wave should come in the next few seconds here. It's wearing purple. The siege minion is shooting it down the Nexus towers. And the flash forward from Tathalis. Let's do that. The flash to get away, but Tathalis is gonna go down. Shootmaxer gonna get secured the kill for that one. Now Tiger Clan taking pretty low, but the Seraphine ulti is gonna get onto 1 Mukub. Look at what Tiger Crowd can do in this team fight. Nothing yet. A Shootmoxer is gonna go pretty low. Heroic entrance over the top, gonna get the knockup onto 1, and Lestuya is doing so much damage onto Tiger Clown, but it is not enough because Aatrox is running you down. Biogamer, a few HP, having to run into the fountain, but the pullback and the Q1 from Tiger Clown is enough. A triple kill for him. The game is gonna freeze, but it doesn't even matter because we know what happened. Manitoba is gonna take game 1 in commanding fashion.
And I mean, this is just dominant. This is something really impressive from this team. And it's just a lot of damage coming out from the side of Manitoba, but also very good vision play. I didn't highlight it enough as much as I'd like to in this game, but around every single objective, Manitoba makes sure to go in, get vision completely around it, sweep vision, make sure everything was clean, and Ohio State was offered very little opportunities to actually do anything in this game. And I mean, especially with how fed the HRS got fed early, I mean, it was just so hard for Ohio State to actually respond.
There really wasn't anything Ohio State could do. They just got choked out the entire game. I mean, the one thing I want to highlight here is this early jungle play from Hyun on the side of Manitoba, getting this early gank onto top lane, getting the Aatrox ahead, and that pretty much just snowballed over the rest of the game. So not even the bot side could end up doing anything because Aatrox is just going to one-shot your backline. There's really nothing you can do about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but, especially... sorry, you can go. I was going to say, especially with the perfect dragon rolls, you're getting the Cloud into Infernal into Ocean Soul. You have the Ocean Soul, you have the Seraphine, you have all of these healing parts, and it's just game over.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break, but come back in a few short minutes for game 2 between Ohio State and Manitoba. Don't go anywhere. welcome back to Game 2 between Ohio State and University of Manitoba. Manitoba taking Game 1 in relatively commanding fashion here. And I'm just curious, Michael, what do you want to see for OSU to try to, fix these issues that they saw in Game 1?
Frankly, I do not think you can let Seraphine through. We saw their draft in the first game. The other team had no bans, so it wasn't even that they were worried about a first pick. That they could be worried about a first pick of it. Ohio State opted not to first pick, and then it was immediately picked up. And I feel that champion is just too strong. But then I feel that a lot of the problem with this game, last game, especially for Ohio State, is just the bleeding from that top lane, from those initial 2 deaths, bled right into the rest of the map. This Aatrox just became so strong, and as we're hopping into this pick ban here, I want to see Muka put onto something more safe, something not the Urgot.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit interesting to see there because I'm not 100% sure if Ohio State knew that the jungler for Manitoba started on the bottom side and would be making his way up to top lane at level 3. I would imagine that they had to have sort of had an inkling about that just due to the timing of when the bot lane showed up. But honestly, I think that's a relatively inexcusable death coming out from this top laner for OSU. It makes the game really hard if you're going to do that. But nonetheless, It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So I'm looking to see if Muka can bounce back and show up for Game 2. Get a little bit of a better performance and, get us talking about him in a good way.
Yeah, now we can actually see what Manitoba wants to ban, and we see that they are still scared of that Nunu. It's not Bio's most played champion, but still something to be scared of nonetheless. And we see Ohio State's taking a shift from the last game and actually banning away the Galio this time. Since they were the losers, they were able to choose side for this next game, and they chose to remain on the blue side, and we also see the Hecarim banned away.
Junglers banned away from Manitoba, and it's a bit interesting because we'll actually see what they want to ban. I think you talked about that, but the Udyr is going to be the last ban for this first rotation from Ohio State, and we'll see what Manitoba opts to do in the next couple seconds here. I would imagine, a potential maybe Seraphine ban to take that away, and there you go. Right there is going to be the Seraphine ban.
Yeah, I mean, it's very expected, and I'm glad to see it, and we can see what Ohio State actually opts to go with this time, because the Galio is obviously banned away by them, and then the Hecarim is also banned away. They go for the Lilia first pick.
Lilia in the jungle for BioGamer. I have some experience on this pick against BioGamer. Let me tell you, he does feel comfortable on this champion. He knows his way around it. He's able to play this champion at a high level, and should be a relatively solid pick. I'm not sure if it's first pick worthy. What do you think?
I think Lilia does have his counter pick, so I feel it is kind of scary to pick in that first pick position, but if BioGamer is comfortable on it and is fine facing these matchups, we did see that the Olaf was left open throughout this rotation, so obviously they knew of that. This is a matchup that Bio could be comfortable with, should be comfortable with. This is a very popular matchup in solo queue, I believe, but we see these matchups. Hun obviously also feeling comfortable in the matchup, picking the Olaf in response to Lilia, but it's definitely a lot to see. And then we see the Sivir locked in for Alidus.
Sivir is an interesting pick here. It's interesting to me mostly just because there's a lot of AD carries that are still available, like no AD carry bans. Obviously, Seraphine, maybe you can consider it an AD carry just because it's played in that bottom lane, but obviously no AD damage there. But yeah, I think mainly the idea behind this pick is to sort of just pocket this Olaf, give him the extra move speed, and we're going to see Ezreal in response there from Lucilia.
Yeah, this is a very interesting pick ban already from my perspective. There are these picks that we don't consider as high of priority as other picks, but we're seeing them picked in response, obviously, to the other person's picks, and we can see what Shen Moxter locks in here. I think this should be support, but I'm still unsure. They actually opt for the Yone, it seems, which is very exciting.
Okay, one of the brothers in the mid lane. Schumacher on the Yone. We know he likes to play this champion a lot as well. We talked about it a bit earlier. When it's not Galio, it's either Yasuo or Yone. So interested to see how this one works out for him in this mid lane.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. He's very experienced with this champion. And, we'll see how Kep chooses to respond. There's everything open just about. We see the Caston locked in. This This should be interesting. This should be very, very interesting. I referenced Caston as one of Kep's most played champions in ranked. It's his 4th most played with 22 games this season. But that should be. I am not sure how that matchup will go in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, I think. And this you can even say that this Yone is actually a flex pick, right? It can be flexed into the top lane if the matchup is there. If Shootmoxer wants to, doesn't like this matchup into Kassadin, you can just send that Yone to Mukub in the top side and give Shootmoxer an even better pick.
Or rather, they could. I think it'd be more likely that we see Shootmoxer going to the top lane.
Okay, you know what? Maybe that's also an option. But either way, there's still options to get around, this early Kassadin pick. And Kassadin's a champion that can get punished really hard, really early if you're able to. Obviously, we're in the second phase of bans now, and Nar going to be the first one for OSU. Rel is going to be the bans from Manitoba, as well as this last one coming here in a second. Going to be the sign-off.
Yeah, Manitoba wanting to keep Mukub off of some of those safer picks that he's more comfortable with, and just put him into a more vulnerable position, because Mukub will, or rather should, have to blind pick here. I'm assuming that Manitoba goes with the support in R4, and then will leave the counter pick to Tiger Clown, because Tiger Clown was the largest carry in that last game. It was the most impactful, and with that Aatrox, they were able to almost run over the game. And we see the Morgana being the last ban. I'm expecting this should be support here.
Probably, I would imagine. You definitely want to give that counter pick to your solo lane, especially just because of the dominant performance in Game 1 by Tiger Clown. You want to put this player in as best of a position as they can to sort of run over the game like they did in the last one. It's going to be the Thresh pickup for WPG support.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, this pick offers both pick potential and obviously saving your teammate. So when your Kassadin oversteps, gets caught up by the Yone or your Sivir for that matter, they can just take the Lantern out. We do see a potential Nautilus coming in for Bob Joseph, and I think that would be a pretty good response. Alistar is also exciting
as well. Yeah, I mean, I think Alistar is super good right now. You have the ability to roam, you have heals for your team, you got a lot of CC, you got a get out of jail free card with your ultimate to, take away any CC that you have. I think it feels pretty good, and I think it's actually a better pick than Nautilus right now in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then we do see the Gragas locked in for Mukub, and this is a very safe pick. And even though Tank Gragas got nerfed, for the sake of Mukub and this game, I'd hope that he goes the tankier build in this game and opts to not go a full AP glass cannon build, because I could see that being very heavily abused by whatever Tiger Clown chooses to counterpick this pick with.
Yeah, we should be seeing in the next couple seconds what Tiger Clown opts to go with. It's going to be the Shen. And I feel like I've seen this matchup a lot, the Shen versus Gragas in the top lane.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that Tiger Clown can take over the game with, which is good for Ohio State, but this Shen is still scary because it gives that much more peel to this Olaf, it gives that much more shield, and allows this Olaf to just go in and ruin the game. I mean, if you guys watched the last matchup of G2 and Fnatic, we saw that an Olaf doesn't much care for Yone and could just run through it. So hopefully Ohio State has better chances this game, and we can actually see them step up to the plate and take a game off of Manitoba.
One thing I'm looking at is just the damage profiles coming out for OSU here. A lot, like we talked about this, we expect that that Mukub is going to go tank onto this Gragas here. But there's not too much magic damage aside from Lilia. So it's going to be relatively easy, I think, for Manitoba to itemize against the physical damage, building armor, for the Shen, for the Olaf, if you need any. And then Zonius is obviously going to be pretty good on this Kassadin as well.
Yeah, I do feel, while I agree with you at its face value, I think it does depend on what bio decides to build, obviously, because we know that there's both the Moonstone build and the Leandri's build. And if you go the Leandri's Demonic Anguish build, it's becomes magic damage that's very hard to ignore. With how much percent max health magic damage that's ticking, if you're just building health and armor, then the Lilia is still going to shred through you, even though it's the only source of magic damage.
But you have to think that this Lilia has to go that build, probably. I mean,
the Leandri's build?
Going, yeah. I would imagine that it's going to be the Leandri's build just because there's no other magic damage really on your team besides the minimal that a tank Gragas can do. Unless
We could see Mookup going for the Everfrost into full tank. I think that would be reasonable given that the nerfs to full tank Gragas were focused on the mana cost, and so having the Everfrost could kind of supplement that in a way. And I feel against Shen, you wouldn't be as likely to get punished for it. And so I feel that's a fine pick overall, but then again, the worry in this game is the Olaf. It's Hun in the jungle. And that champion has the opportunity to be very, very scary this game.
And it's going to be a lot onto Manitoba to see what they can do and try to set up these early skirmishes in the jungles. You know, these fights where Olaf thrives so much. It'll be interesting, though, because the mid-jungle early game is not going to be that good for Manitoba. Kassadin is one of these champions that is not too strong in the early game. You kind of want to wait till you get that Rift Walk available, get up to level 11, get up to level 16 when this cooldown becomes very minimal, and the mana cost also becomes very minimal. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do with this mid-jungle 2v2, especially just because you know, Lilia and the Yone might be a bit more likely to win that, at least in the early game.
Yeah, but then looking at these comps holistically, even with the Olaf falling off more so into the later game, this is still a very scary Manitoba team comp going into the late game. You have the Sivir, you have the Kassadin, and you have the Shen to back it up. And that's very scary if you're Ohio State. It's a lot harder if you're Ohio State to execute these fights later into the game, I feel. Because with the Yone and the Gragas, you have to have at least some semblance of synergy there. Because if you have the Gragas throwing everyone out of the Yone ult, that's how you lose a team fight easily. And so hopefully we don't see that. But hopefully we can also see some good execution, because if it fails, then it's just Manitoba's to clean up for free.
Yeah, it would be disastrous if they, you know, mess up that combo here, and it's gonna be on OSU to see, did their their first round of playoffs bye, you know, take away kind of their steam? Did it create too much rust to try to come back from? And if we're looking at game one, it kind of does look like that. But, you know, hopefully that was the warm-up game. They're able to break through, able to get their rust off, stretch their arms out, and, you know, able to pull through for game number 2 here.
Yeah, it's I feel a lot is on Shen Moxter actually this game in the mid lane on the Yone. Because of the pre-6 onto the Kassadin, and Kassadin has no mobility, barring the flash. And with just how much mobility and chase potential this Yone has, I need to see solo kills coming out from Shen Moxter. I need to see him doing something. I need to see him punishing this Kassadin pick, because this was picked in response to the Yone. This wasn't even just the blind pick that the Yone was then countering. So this is a pick into the Yone. This mid laner's feeling confident, like they can actually do this, like they're fine. I mean, this should be all they need. And if Shen Moxter can actually step up and perform today in this game, this is the time for him to shine.
This is the time to shine indeed here, as we are in our spectator delay right now. We got 3 minutes in total for our competitive integrity delay. We should be getting onto the Rift in the near future here, but the bot lane matchup, Ezreal and Alistar versus the Sivir and the Thresh here. I know that Thresh is pretty good at stopping these Alistar engages here. You have the Flay that can actually interrupt the Headwell Pulverize, sort of deny these engages and opportunities from Bob Joseph on this champion. How do you think this bot lane is going to go?
I think this bot lane is very volatile. It depends on who gets these first couple kills, because with the new, I believe Sivir's been going all lethality, and same with Ezreal for the most part. You go Essence Reaver into Duskblade, and I mean, that's a lot of damage. That can lead to a very one-shotted ADC. So it's very dependent on who is able to actually pick up steam early, and especially with that Olaf being the jungler for Manitoba, that could be a possibility there. They could look for these bot plays with the Thresh Hook, with the Lantern to pull in the Olaf to make a mismatch fight. That's what they want. And I mean, there is a lot that goes into the execution for Alistar on Ohio State, both with the Thresh Flay and the Sivir Spell Shield to worry about. But now as we're heading into the game, we'll see how that all turns out.
Headed into the game, onto the Rift for game number 2 for Ohio State. On the top lane, Mookup on the Gragas, BioGamer on Lily in the jungle, Shen Moxter on the Yone in the mid lane, and Lestuya and Bob Joseph on Ezreal and Alistar in the bottom lane.
And for the Manitoba Bisons, we have Tiger Clown in the top lane on Shen, Hun on Olaf in the jungle, kept on Kassadin in the mid lane, and Alidus and WPG support on Sivir and Thresh.
For the time being, these teams just kind of scouting out, setting up some lines of scrimmage on the rift, getting some river vision, trying to find whatever information they can, but no fighting early game, it looks like, as Manitoba looking to close this series out with a potential win in this one. OSU fighting to stay alive. Their playoff hopes lie in this game, so it's going to be big to see how they can perform in the clutch here. And another alternated jungle start from these junglers here, as Manitoba is going to start on the top side and OSU is going to start on the bottom side.
Okay, this is kind of a casting meta question I might ask you.
Okay.
Because you know how when you look at a mirror, it's flipped. So wouldn't this be a mirrored start in that they're both starting on the red, or is mirrored just respective to the side that they're on?
I think mirrored is the side. That would make sense to me.
No, I think that, I mean, it definitely does make sense.
But I could see either way, like either way it works, you know?
Yeah, and so, but we are seeing these Dunker starting on the opposite sides. So luckily for Olaf, there would be no, or luckily for, Mukub in the top lane, there would be no early Olaf ganks onto him.
I mentioned this earlier, but it was really big to see, you know, how how OSU mostly can track this early jungle pathing from Hoon on the Bisons, because he was able to put in so much work in game 1, getting a bunch of early kills for his squad. And so it's going to be really, I mean, obviously we didn't see it in this game with the start on the bottom side, but Mukub is safe for the time being now. Bob Joseph going in for an engage here, going to get pulled back up, and a lot of damage. Ignite's ticking down the heal from Lastuya. He's going to do what he can to keep Bob Joseph alive, and he lives with about 20 HP here, taking pretty low and straight.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. I mean, Alidus on the Sivir has that Dark Harvest, so we know they're going to be going that lethality type of build, and this is scary for that Alistar early. It's a lot of damage, and one straight Q just hitting the Alistar could lead to their death.
What do you think about this tier start on the Sivir?
I feel it's kind of dangerous. We saw. Wow, it's scary. We saw, I mean, last game we saw the Seraphine going the same thing. So Alidus is obviously very comfortable in these lanes, and comfortable just going with the less laning focused item. They're confident that they're going to be able to get out of this lane, so they're just going to go the tier.
Yeah, going tier, you obviously lose a lot of these fighting stats. With the Dornslade, you have attack damage, you have lifesteal, you have health. With tier, you're pretty much only getting mana here, but now BioGamer getting aggressed on. Olaf's going to pop the Ghost to run him down. Flash is available from Bio. He's going to bring the flash into the Krug pit to get away from that angry Viking running him down. But time that summoner spell, because the deer is not going to have any flash for the next 5 minutes.
I mean, that's definitely scary for BioGamer as we see another flash burn by Hun into the jungle.
He's already making these early plays, getting 2 flashes in under 4.5 minutes here. And this is exactly what we wanted to see from this Manitoba jungler, imparting their will early in the game and able to get these summoner spells. Now it's just going to be on Manitoba to see how they can punish.
Yeah, I mean, you have the flashes, you have these advantages, and seemingly every lane. Mukub is able to push out pretty effectively, so nothing too bad. Nothing. At least he's surviving, but the rest of the lanes are having a tough time. Bob Joseph again getting Dark Harvest procced on him. It's very, very scary.
It seems like, you know, Elitist is just going to be able to farm Dark Harvest at will on this Alistar.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not what you like to see. Dark Harvest decks are never something you want to be giving away for free. So hopefully Ohio State will send their cow back to base soon, so they'll be able to heal up and actually be able to be useful in this lane. But it looks like we're seeing Olaf getting a free dragon for himself at 5.5 minutes.
Olaf's onto this dragon, and Olaf's one of the champions who can easily dual dragon in the early game. Obviously, you're going to get increased attack speed and lifesteal from going low health. So it's going to be pretty easy for Olaf to solo this dragon here. It's going to be the Cloud the first dragon of the game, and the next one is going to be Infernal here. A nice job by WPG support. The flash forward from Bob Joseph, and the ignite is going to force out the heal. Oh, and the ignite ticking down on a Bob Joseph is enough to take him down. A first blood going over to WPG support. And now no summoner spells at all for these supports in the bottom lane.
I mean, if it wasn't for the silver hero, that would have been a Thresh solo kill, by the way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Alidus takes that away. But I mean, hey, Mookub now being pushed in, Shen up 16 CS. A lot of this should be able to be recouped in that way that was just shoved in, but across the board, this is already a 1k gold lead for the Bisons.
Yeah, 400 of that is going to be on this Thresh here in the bottom lane. Coming off the back of that first blood play, but the rest is just CS leads in the top lane, in the bot lane. So for the time being, Manitoba seems to be happy with this lane state, especially just because, you know, you want to get this Kassadin through this rough early game. And we can already see Bob Joseph looking for a bit of an alley cop to roam here, as both of these supports are in the mid lane, but there's no mana on Kept. So it could be a bit of a rough 1v1 if they have to go for it. Shootmox are going to have to burn the Fate Sealed to escape that gank from the Thresh. And for the time being, no ultimate on this Yone means a relatively free push-in for the Manitoba mid lane.
I mean, yeah, Manitoba was able to push in for free. Thresh making good plays across the map this game, and I mean, he was there to help his mid laner shove in. Mid laner ran out of mana. Now would pick up that lost chapter. Won't run into that issue again, probably. And so we're just seeing some. If you're Ohio State, this is not really the early game you want. You don't want to be falling behind to these types of lanes.
Especially when you have a super punishable lane in this mid lane with the Yone versus the Kassadin matchup. Obviously, Olaf is going to be a menace in the early game, so you got to expect that, you know, you might have a bit of a hard time in the jungle early. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the lead for Shootmoxer is negligent. There's really no lead, pretty much. So Manitoba seems to be okay with the way the game is going right now.
Yeah, I definitely want to see some plays somewhere. We have the teleport on Mookub as he's getting ganked. This is 2v2 up in the top lane.
2v2 in the top lane. Ragnarok's going to be popped. Mookub is taken pretty low, but the flash to safety is not going to be enough, as Biogamer now have to burn the flash to get away, and the Stand United shield was enough. And now in the bottom lane we go. Here's the flash forward from Lastuya. Hook not going to land, but oh, it does land, and Kept on the other side of the map is going to take down a Biogamer. Lastuya 1 HP. One more auto from the server should do it, but Alistar is blocking it up, but you cannot block the auto attacks. Here's Elidus going to secure a kill in the bottom lane now, and a really big swing for Manitoba in this early game is going to give them a 2.7k gold lead at almost 9 minutes.
I mean, yeah, now everybody on Manitoba has a kill, as it looks like Yone is here to try to save the day.
Yeah, but Elidus is already going to get the kill onto Bob Joseph. Now Shootmoxer has to go back to that shadow, so there's really no kill pressure onto Elidus, but Kept is in the area. Look at the damage from the Kassadin. The Rift Walk is going to secure it, and Kept is going to get a kill back for themselves here, as well as this wave for the bottom lane of Manitoba pushed into the tower. Lastuya is going to miss some of that, and the lead starts to grow here. Now it's about a 3.6k gold lead in favor of Manitoba, just as we approach the 9.5 minute mark, with the dragon spawning in about 1 minute. You'd have to imagine that Manitoba is going to start setting it up with this bot lane pressure that they have.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ohio State, you do not want to be seeing Kassadin get 2 kills early, and while that was happening in the bot lane, Olaf was able to pick up that Rifter on the top side, so it's just more and more in the favor of Manitoba, and it's just, you have a lot of scary components that are coming together a lot earlier than you'd hope they should if you're Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, Kept is going to be pretty much able to run free now in this lane. You got double buffs, you got 2 kills on the Kassadin, the Lost Chapter's already picked up. Crucially though, Shootmoxer has those Berserkers and the Noon Quiver, and that's a pretty solid spike here, at least for Yone in the early game. And he's going to be fighting, we're going to see it here, but Kept maybe in trouble as Bob Joseph's in the area, going to flash, headbutt pulverize. Oh no! The rust is showing here as Bob Joseph's going to headbutt Kept away from that Fate Sealed. And this is what we talked about earlier. This buy can be so detrimental to teams with their team chemistry, and maybe seeing a little bit of that in this one.
Yeah, I at a loss for words. It definitely, I mean, that play, even if you weren't tilted before, that's a tilter. And it's definitely not what you want to see if you're Ohio State. You're already behind in this game. You're already behind in the series. This is your last shot. I mean, this is a game where you have to do something. And now, at 11 minutes, another dragon going over to the Bisons.
We're going to see another fight in the mid lane here. Cap taking pretty low, but support is in the area. Looking for a death sentence to maybe sentence Schoonmaxer, and now Tiger Clan is in the area, gonna burn the flash out of Schoonmaxer, and Biogamer's here now. Riftwalk onto him, and a lot of damage. Is the sleep available? It is, but is not utilized yet as Biogamer runs for the hills and gets out with about 300 HP.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm saying, this is some tilt starting to show from Ohio State, and this is not the time for tilt. You cannot afford to give up these plays, to make these mistakes, to keep misstepping over and over, and it looks like they're going to try to catch out somebody in the mid lane, but it's Cassidy.
Yeah, you can't really catch out the Cassidy. I mean, you have the Riftwalk available. It's a pretty much get out of jail free card at any sense of the game, and the damage coming out from Elitist with these Boomerang Blades is going to be so much, as you know, the Sivir is able to get a few more items, scale up, already has the Manamune completed, and Stuya down about 25 minions right now. Certainly not what you like to see, not what you want to be, not how you want to be in this lane at all. Just more fighting in the top lane. Biogamer's in the area. Sleep is not there yet, as another kill have to be. And again, we just see miscommunication here. Ragnarok from Olaf under the tower, as well as the Stand United coming through, and this is just, what can you do? Honestly, if you're OSU, you have an Angry Viking coming at you with a 300 health shield and a Shen delivery system right into your face, and that with that double kill in the top lane, Herald is going to be spawned, and this should likely be the first tower going over to Manitoba in the top lane.
Something I would love to point out this game that I actually really like to see is Hunt going for the Stride Breaker instead of the Gore Drinker. I think it's more in favor now, especially that we've seen it in professional play in the LEC. Is my most memorable game of it, with Yankos getting super fed. But you have the healing already. Gore Drinker got nerfed, so it's not even as effective, and having that Stride Breaker, having that extra dash, just makes it that much harder to contain you. Especially when you have a Shen, being able to deliver that Shen so much further, it's really scary if you're Ohio State. We see aggression in the bot lane.
On the hunt, Wilby pops the flash forward. Lastuya is just absolutely one-shotted by Elitist. Where did you go? I don't even know. And the teleport's coming in from Tiger Clan. Bob Joseph has to run, but what really can you do here? Biogamer has the sleep available onto 2 if he wants it, but ends up saving the summoners, or saving the cooldown for now. And this should be this bottom lane tower going over to Manitoba for their second tower of the game. Death sentence wide right here, and OSU just has to watch as this bot lane outer tower is gonna fall.
Yeah, this is more gold. That was 2 full turrets. That was 10 whole plates before 14 minutes for the Bisons. They are 8k up before 15 minutes. This is even worse than last game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is a really tough. I mean, being up almost 8k gold at 14 minutes is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so hard to do anything from this point as Ohio State. Your opponent already has 2 dragons. They're setting up for the 3rd in about 90 seconds. And I mean, this is another Ocean Soul. This is an Ocean Soul going onto Kasten and Olaf. Again, it's a little bit easier to kill. They're not all Drain Tanks this time. They don't have the Seraphine buffing them all up. But it's hard. It's really hard to play these fights, especially if it does go late enough that Manitoba's able to get this Ocean Soul again.
I mean, you have to think, like, yeah, you don't have the Seraphine, but you have a Stand United shield coming out from Shen onto the Olaf when he dies in the backline. It's just free backline access.
Yeah, still a lot of shielding, a lot of protection coming out from this Shen, and I mean, your components are activating so much earlier than you'd hope they were. Like, you have the Sivir with her Muramana, not the Manamune, oh man, I should know. Not the fully complete one yet.
Manamune.
Yeah, we see the Manamune, and Bob Joseph, even with the ult, almost falling down, and lots and lots of damage coming out for the Bison.
Yeah, this is certainly a dubious position right now for OSU here. Manitoba is pretty much able to just take complete control of your jungle, and It seems really, really hard. Look at that. Biogamer is absolutely one-shot almost by the Olaf running him down. Now Fate Shield's going to be burned, and Olaf's taking pretty low, but the Sanity Shield's coming through. Yone is going to run all the way back, and Biogamer is going to use the sleep to repel any further engage from Manitoba. But look at what's going on here. The Dragon has spawned, and with the low health bars on OSU, it's a free soul point again for Manitoba in this game. Bob Joseph going to be face checking. Teleports coming in from Moo Tub on the Gragas here as the Lantern's coming over. Ignite ticking down. The support is going to go golden, but Kept is on the flank here. Everfrost, Moo Cub is going to go down. Elite is going to go on a rampage here, but Schoonmaster's trying to find something on the back end. Going to go back to that shadow as Bob Joseph is going to be taken down as Shun goes on a rampage. Schoonmaster running for the hills, burning the flash to try to get away as Biogamer is running. The blast one's going to be popped, but Kept is going to go on a killing spree, and there is nothing you can do if you're OSU. A double kill for the Olaf. And a 13 scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, we thought 8K at 14 was bad, 10K at 17 is not much better. Yeah, definitely not great. And there's still so much standing gold that the Bisons have to collect in all these outer turrets, and it's not great.
No, it's certainly not correct.
And
another outers will be taken down there.
Yeah, as we say that last outer taken down, another Rift Herald going over to the Bisons. Yeah, another Rift Herald going over to the Bisons, and this is just going to allow them to keep pushing their lead, keep pushing the advantages they've accrued. And I mean, there's been one death on the side of the Bisons, and if you are Ohio State, you're having to go through the process of, okay, so who can we actually kill? Because every single person on the Bisons, barring Thresh of course, because they're the support, but every single person on the Bisons is hard to kill for one reason or another. Either they kill you, they escape, or you can't kill them. And so just all of these reasons just make it so difficult to actually play the game, to actually find a window to get back into the game. That was one Q onto Schoonmaster. It did a lot of damage with the, we're seeing a gauge here. I can't play by play, but I'll look at this, and it's just dominating from the side of the Bisons. They were able to pick up a single kill, but just on the rest of the fight, they're just being ran down. Moo Cub being the only survivor for Ohio State, and it's so disastrous. They're 12K down at this point at 18 minutes. Just every 2 minutes, another 2K added to the Bisons, and it's just so dang difficult. This is even harder loss than the last game, and I mean, it's so difficult to do. It's so difficult to be able to come back from this position if you're Ohio State. Like we were talking about earlier, they took the bye week and it did not pay out. Like, they were not able to actually grow. They were not able to actually take something from it. They just fell behind. They fell behind in their team synergy. They fell behind in their knowledge of what to expect in this game. And I mean, it's just complete domination from the Bisons. The Bisons may have been the lower seed coming into this match, but they are dominant. I mean, from every single step of this game, of this series, we've just seen them play better from the individual lane plays to the different team fight levels. I mean, even to the draft. I mean, every single component of these games is a lot better for the Bisons. And as we're continuing out, it's just a 13K gold lead for the Bisons. Support, WG support, or PG, sorry, it's just chilling around this red buff, not caring the world because they're the Thresh, but it's still really hard to kill them. They do have the 2 dots on the team, so kinda inexcusable. Almost a red buff steal, but Biogamer is able to smite away, and it's just, they're just choking them out. At this point, they're just waiting for the soul in a minute, and then they go right to the Baron, and it's just not enough that Ohio State can do. Schoonmaster getting aggressive, almost killing Kev in the top lane. Fate sealed into the Ignite. Shen over the top, able to save Kept, and it's just a very clean sidestep on the bowling ball from Lilia, is able to keep Kept alive, and that would have been a lot of gold going to Ohio State. But clean footwork from Kept, good reactions from Tiger Clown, is able to keep them alive, and that was Ohio State's best shot. Now we see Shen alone in the top side. Ohio State's going for a desperation Baron play. There is no vision from the Bisons here, this might just be a free Baron. They're still sitting by the dragon. They don't even know this is happening. Shen will walk down and face check this, but it might just be too late then. Olaf's not able to get here in time. This is just a Baron going over to Ohio State. This is a 21-minute Baron. There's a teleport in from Kept. Shen's falling down early. Kept is drowsy. He's falling asleep. Zanya's is there, but all of Ohio State is there too, and that's just a Baron and 2 kills to Ohio State, and now they're looking for more. They're looking for more kills. Hunt is legendary going in, and it's just, even with the Baron, even with those 2 kills, the rest of the Bisons are still too fed. They're just able to clean up all of these kills. They have the Ref Hero going down mid. They can go collect the soul. They can go push for the inhibitors, and this is the end for Ohio State. Essentially, Bisons are still 13k up. Baron is gone, so the Bisons don't have that to look for. But I mean, Ohio State, that was their best shot. That was their best option to actually do something. They got 2 kills out of it, so that's something. But at the end of the day, they just got the 1500 gold from the Baron, and that's about it. Okay. And we see, yeah, Ohio State being choked out and Bison's not able to do much.
All right, hello there, everybody. This is your producer, who is now going to tune in on play-by-play commentary because, you know what, I can kind of do that too. Ryan's internet just went out, so that's what we're doing right now. Little unfortunate for the hometown OSU squad here, isn't it, Michael? They did get that Baron to try to slow things out for a little while, but it still is not looking promising. They're probably gonna have to stall for Elder. What are their odds to stall there?
I mean, it's very difficult. They gave over the Ocean Soul to the Bisons, so even when they do pick up that, or if they are able to pick up that Elder Dragon, it's difficult to even fight them because of how much healing that Ocean Soul provides and how much gold they are ahead. Even with 1 member down, the 4 members of the Bisons, no matter what 4 members, will still have more gold than all of OSU. We see
a little bit of an engagement here. It looks like we do have 1 member getting caught out, which is going to be good for Ohio State, but that's opening the window here on the top side of the map for potential inhibitor tower to go down, and potentially a turret as well. Looks like only the pressure was going to mount. But you're starting to see a little bit more of the split pushing here as well, with Tiger Clown down there in the bot lane as well, providing some more power for the Bisons and splitting this map up, splitting up the Ohio State squad.
Yeah, there's no Shen ult, so Tiger Clown's not able to respond too easily. He'll have to teleport over. But that was a good pick from Ohio State. Kept feeling himself a little bit too much, going in on the 1v3, and just ends up getting taken down. And, I mean, there's the 3v5 right here.
3v5 here. Looks like Ohio State's trying to find a little bit of something here. Now getting turned back around. Biogamer has to be very careful on this Lilia. We saw a lot of damage get applied to that Lilia earlier. And certainly going to be very fragile even now, but now we have to be even more careful. Look at this minion wave here in the mid. It is pushing down into the Nexus turrets right now with super minions as well, and a second one is going to be there in just a minute. The stall game is just going to have to continue for the Buckeyes here, who are on their heels as the Bisons continue to knock at the base. And now all of a sudden, we've got Kept back online, and is going to join the rest of the team here. They might even look for the engage here on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, they all grouped up in this top lane. Shen is teleporting in.
There it is. Death Sentence teleport coming on in. Nuke Hub throws a cast. Well, knocks some of these guys away, but look at the Ragnarok. The Kuhn is just going unstoppable right now. Legendary and continuing on. And it's an absolute bloodbath here onto the Nexus, about what we were expecting. They find the engagement. They have all 5, and they might be looking for a couple more, but this one should be just about over. Unfortunately for the Buckeyes, they will end their season in the round of 16 in playoffs, the Upsurge Minor League. Congratulations go on over to the Bisons, who will be advancing to quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very clean series from game 1 to game 2, from every single part, from the draft to laning to to team fights. It was just all around just a better series for the Manitoba Bisons. I mean, it was very dominant throughout. I'm here. Kenneth is also here.
I'm in the void.
Sure.
I'm still here. I'm in the void. Yeah, we don't have cameras on any of these computers. It was a little last minute, but
yeah. I mean, this was a very impressive series to watch the Bisons. They are very strong players all across the board. Not a single one of them slacked. And for Ohio State, it's a letdown, to say the least, to see their season end here. They fall obviously to the better team on the day, but this was still, I mean, they still had a good showing throughout the rest of the season. They were 5-0 in the regular split, and they did what they were able to do. And today, the Manitoba Bisons just came out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the important parts here, right? As even at Ohio State, we're continuing to build this program up, and we had a very strong start to everything, right? Going 5-0 in the regular season, as you mentioned, getting that bye here, and so unfortunately came a little bit short tonight. But you know what? Something to always look forward to for next time around. Yeah, sorry for a couple of the hiccups that we had. Sorry that Ryan's internet just kind of went out on us. But that's fine nonetheless. Hope you all enjoyed the show tonight. Hopefully we've got some more League of Legends action coming your way later in the semester. Stay tuned to the Ohio State Esports Twitter. You can follow us at Ohio State Esports, same as the Twitch. Drop us a follow here too, and hit that notification bell if you are interested in tuning in for any future matches. But again, thank you all so much for coming on by, and we hope to see you back for more Ohio State esports action. Hopefully we've got some more Rocket League coming up too, which I'm starting to get a little bit excited about. So stay tuned for Car Soccer, and we will catch you all later. Have a good night, everybody.